Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me well. I'm very excited to be here today. This is my first time at ISOG, so again, very excited, very happy. My name again is TOAN. You can call me TOAN. I know nobody asked, but this is a Vietnamese name. So based on that, you can guess that I'm coming from France, right? France, yeah. So I'm actually coming from France, and we, again, BIZSECURE are representing mainly French cybersecurity solutions. And again, as a first time at ISOG, what I want to present or talk about today is cybersecurity and most likely advanced threats like my previous speaker's colleague, but with a little twist, which is how much can you afford to lose? Right. So before starting the actual presentation, I have actually 4 questions to ask you. So I can already see some stiff face. Well, what's happening? Are we back in school, or what's happening? No, actually, don't worry. It's very easy and simple questions. The first one is your company metadata important and sensitive? Just to put a bit of context, what is metadata? Basically, metadata is a record of everything that happens in your network, your company network. So the who, where, how, that happens inside your network, right? Now, should your company metadata be sent to a vendor cloud or to an external cloud, public cloud, for example, for analysis? And if that's the case, then who has the ownership of the metadata, right? Third, think about it. How much would a cyber attack cost you if you were attacked today? And then finally, how do you monitor, analyze your organization metadata? And then how do you detect threats, if there are, obviously? So I think the answers are quite obvious, besides the cyber attack cost that you would have. But for the rest of them, I think it's very easy to understand, right? Your company metadata is extremely sensitive, important, and valuable, right? That's, again, it's very easy to understand. Now, again, as I would say, C-level management, there's a lot of challenges when it comes to applying cybersecurity due to, and it's only one of the constraints, which is the money, the budget, right? So now, let's try to see and let's try to understand on this aspect. Just to give you some numbers, okay? Basically, these are numbers from last year, so 2022. Some of them, okay, I'm not going to go through all of them, but we can see, for example, that the Philippines ranked 4th among countries with the highest cyber attack. Again, I don't want to scare all of you, but it's actual fact, right? It's just numbers again. Average cost of a ransomware attack, 1.85 million US. Average data breach cost, 4.35 million US. 75% of organizations in the Philippines have experienced a cyber attack. Philippines was the 2nd most attacked country by web threat worldwide. So I don't want to sound like really dramatic, and sorry if I do sound dramatic, but we think that today it's not really a matter of are we getting attacked or not, will we get an attack or not, but rather when are we going to get attacked, right? So that's, again, that gives you, these numbers in general, again, gives you an idea of how important it is to be able to detect threats, and more specifically, advanced threats. Now, I want to take a specific example, again, not to just talk generally about numbers, it's not that funny, but let's take one example, very, very specific example. It's what we call the sunburst attack. So I guess most of you know SolarWinds, and we know that 2 years ago, they got a very serious attack. To put it very simply, they have a software called Orion. It's a network monitoring tool, right? And what happened is that they got breached first, and then the hacker was able to install a backdoor on one of the Orion server. Now, what happens is that, obviously, so they got breached, but a lot of customers that were using this software also got the backdoor. So what are we talking about? Out of 33,000 users, 18,000 were impacted by the attack. Inside this 18,000, we can see obviously a lot of sensitive names. In the US, for example, you have the US Department of Homeland Security, you have the Department of State, you have Department of Energy, Nuclear States, Treasury, and many, many more. So again, it's quite sensitive. Now, inside the list of targets, not only you have, I would say, end users, but actually we also know that a lot of, I would say, cybersecurity experts were also impacted by this cybersecurity attack. So this is what we call a supply chain attack, right? This is sunburst. And again, it was very, very critical. Now, what do we see? 40 million in the first 9 months of 2021. 40 million US dollar for SolarWinds, right? So the issue here is that obviously you have a huge financial burden, but it's not only about the money. Also, obviously, the reputation, right? You don't want your reputation to be attached, to be known as the one that got hacked. You don't want to see the name of your company in the news to say they got hacked, right? That's something very critical and invaluable. So there's a lot of different things, again, just to come back to the SolarWinds attack. The thing is that obviously, because they are a sensitive organization, right? Obviously, they had everything in terms of protection, or almost everything. They had next-gen firewalls, they had SIEM, they had endpoint protections, they had all of these tools, but they were missing one key point. To understand what they were missing, let's try to see and let's try to understand where are we now in terms of detecting threats and advanced threats, right? So how it evolves? Obviously, as threat evolves, so do detection techniques, right? So in the past, we had network traffic analysis. Then slowly, little by little, we started to see IDS, intrusion detection systems, with sandboxing solutions. And it slowly evolved to this stage where we are today with what we call network detection and response. So today, network detection and response, it's not, I would say, not a singular module, but it's actually a lot of different things with, for example, machine learning. I mean, there was a lot of, again, speech today. We talk about AI, we're talking about machine learning. So again, this all makes sense, or it should make sense to all of you, right? So today again, we are here. Now, why am I talking about this NDR, network detection and response? Because again, this was the key element that was missing in the loop. Now, most of organizations, probably even yourself, right? You have a lot of solutions already in regards to cybersecurity. People tend to focus, for example, on what we call the SIEM, so the logs, for logs compliance, log retention, normalizations. I mean, it's obvious that there's a lot of usage for SIEM, right? Another one is EDR, right? Endpoint protections. So you deploy agents, you make sure that your laptop, your servers are secure, and it's perfectly fine. It's very great to have that. It is needed to have that. But now, if we look at Gartner's, I guess, again, people before me talk about Gartner already. We all know about Gartner. What they say is that to achieve what we call the 360 degrees SOC visibility triad, what you are missing is NDR, network detection and response. With that, you are able to achieve the full visibility. You are able to detect effectively what you have inside your network, right? And, you know, I mean, there's a lot of people that will say, okay, but I have a firewall, I have an SIM, I have EDR. Why do I need NDR, right? Think about it. Whether you are working on-prem, whether you are working hybrid, whether you are working in the cloud, there's one key element which is the backbone of your infrastructure. It's the network. Nothing works without the network, right? I mean, should be. But again, if you cannot detect what's inside your network, then what can you detect? So that's why today, Gartner says that if you want to have the full visibility, you need these three: NDR, SIM, EDR. Again, they complement each other. It's not here to replace or fight each other. No, we just complement each other. Again, this is something very, very important. Now, what do you expect from an NDR solution? What you should get from an NDR solution? There's three main key things, or I would say pillars, for an NDR solutions. The first one is the detection, so the ability to see, right, what you have on your network. The second one is the investigation, the ability to understand, analyze, and hunt for threat in your network. The third one is the response. Obviously, we detect, good thing. Now, we need to do something about it, right? So that's the three main pillars for NDR, network detection and response. Now, you do have the ability to strengthen even more all of that with what we call the intelligence. So again, people before me already talked about it with, for example, cyber threat intelligence, the ability to have what we call IOCs, indicator of compromise, and what we call the dynamic analysis, which is a bit different. So what's the business benefits from deploying an NDR solutions? So, I mean, there's a lot of things, and I mean, the business benefits are huge. SOC optimization, if you have a SOC or if you have a security team, comprehensive visibility, there's a lot. But I want to put the focus on two key pointers here. Reduce MTTD. What is MTTD? Mean time to detect. The second is reduce MTTR, mean time to respond. Why? Why so? Obviously, we know for SolarWinds, we know for actually recent use case. For example, we see in the news, right, in regards to the geopolitics, the different conflict that happens, For example, China's state-sponsored attack, US critical infrastructure. It was in mid-2021, but they just recently discovered that it was hacked. Another one is the state of Guam, which was entirely breached. And also, they're also present in this region, for example, in Asia, with Japan, for example, with the Chinese state-sponsored attack that breached entirely the Japan military in the fall of 2020. Until today, we're still not sure if the Japan military is entirely safe from this breach. So, you know, it takes a lot of time. I think it was mentioned before by my colleagues. It can take years simply to detect that there's someone inside your infrastructure. So, reduce MTTD, again, mean time to detect. The sooner you detect, the sooner you can respond. The sooner you can apply a protection to these attacks. Right? So again, that's the main key value of having a network detection system that is able, no matter if there is a threat, no matter if there is a vulnerability on your perimeter defense, like next-gen firewall, like WAF, for example, no matter if there is a breach, you will still be able to detect malicious activity. Now, I mean, obviously not all of the solutions are valued the same, right? So how do you choose today your NDR solutions? How can you decide on which one to take? Very easily, I think there's, again, a lot of emphasis on, okay, you should go with this because it is highly recognized in the market or whatever. We have to take a look at the security point of view. The first one is, I'm not going through all of this, don't worry. The first one is to go with something that is certified, qualified, and is deemed secure or as a military-grade solution. It is very, very obvious, I would say, but I mean, what's important is that your solution, again, it's very obvious, very important that your solutions, the security solutions that you put inside your network, that there's no backdoor, right? I mean, again, it's obvious, but for certain people, it's not that obvious. The other thing is that, again, because the network and the metadata is very important, like I mentioned. So the main thing is that you want a solution that will retain that you, as an end user or customer, you will have the full ownership of the data. You don't want to send your own metadata to somebody else, okay? Because of PDPA, GDPR, or whatever regulation, again. It's very dangerous and non-compliant in a lot of situations, right? And lastly, again, it was one of the questions from, actually from the speed networking, the first one, which is the resource that you have, the cybersecurity expert that you have, they are invaluable for your company. It's very complicated to keep them. So the main thing that you want when you make them use solutions is don't overload them with false positive. You don't want them to do like basic operation every day because your solution is deploying and is monitoring some false positives. You don't want that, right? So again, that's the key pointers on how to choose your NDR solutions. It is very important, and it is something that will, again, allows you to enhance your cybersecurity posture. Now, last question is that, again, I was asking how much can you afford to lose? I think the question is not anymore how much can you afford to lose, because the obvious answer is 0, right? But now, I think the question is how much are you willing to invest so that you don't lose your digital assets, right? Again, I think the answer is quite simple. So I want to thank again ISOG organization, which makes a great event. So that's going to be it for me. Thanks you everyone, and have a great day ahead.